graders who are graduating from Woodbridge Elementary, and welcome especially to their parents and grandparents and special loved ones who are here this morning. We're so excited, and we're a little bit trying to hold it together because right here it's hard to see these kids go. So I just want to welcome you. And to our students, I just want to thank you for the changes and the difference you make at Woodbridge. I know you did this morning, but I'd like you for the last time to stand and repeat the Woodbridge motto. Will you turn around and say it to your parents, please? And then stand up and sound. Ready? I am Woodbridge full with greatness inside of me. I will choose to be truthful, kind, and courageous. I will stand up to show respect for others. I will learn and reach my potential. I will make a difference. Thank you. Now, you've been a Woodbridge Bull for a long time. For some of you, it's been 7 years that you've been here at Woodbridge. The longest time that you'll be at any school that you attend, well, maybe you'll be into college and graduate school, it takes a little bit longer. But I just have watched you for a lot of parents really live those principles that we just talked about. I've watched you show kindness to each other. I've watched you, and I think this group especially has been so good at noticing the differences that you have and accepting and embracing those differences. You've done a really good job of taking care of each other. And I hope you will continue to do that as you move on together to Peaceful Junior High, or if you're moving on somewhere else, that you'll remember that our differences can really bring us together and make us stronger. The things about us that are the same are comfortable, but when you can accept and embrace each other's differences, you will learn so much and grow so much. So thank you. Thank you for taking care of each other. I've watched you learn about the philosophy of growth mindset. You've learned that you can do hard things. You've learned that sometimes when you do those hard things, you fail. We watched your rockets. You guys did your egg drop, and you know that sometimes your first attempt doesn't work, and you just get back up and try again. And I hope you take that mindset with you throughout the rest of your life. Do hard things. Don't be afraid. I just want to thank you for your contributions. So 6th graders, I'm really talking to you, and I really mean this. I want to thank you for your contributions to the positive culture of Woodbridge Elementary. You have made a difference. I've watched it in the way that you have raised money for Coins for Kenya, and the way that you have reached out to students in younger grades, the way that you've befriended the people around you. You've really created an environment of inclusion, and I think that's a really important part of who we are at Woodbridge. So thank you for doing that. You have a team behind you as you go on. It includes your friends, it includes your classmates, it includes your teachers, and most of all, your parents, who are your biggest cheerleaders and your most important teachers. We students take just a minute to honor your parents today. You can blow your mom a kiss if you want. Can you do that? Turn around and give them a hand, shall we? Parents and grandparents for letting us be part of your team, raising these wonderful, amazing kids. It has just been a joy to work with them, and it's a joy to work with you and be part of this community. So thank you so much. You'll always be a Woodbridge Wolf. Remember that. Remember this motto. I know you say it every Friday, and it starts to become rote, but will you remember it as you grow up? Remember, you're always a Woodbridge Wolf. Go change the world. I love you.
We've never seen it. I know.
Because I knew you. Because I knew you. Because I knew you. I have been changed. For good.
Senior Miss Bryton.
Good morning. Adults scare me to death. I love teaching children, but adults are really scary to me. So I drew the short end of the stick when we were talking about who was going to speak first. I said, oh, you don't want me to speak first because I am a hot mess. I cry really easily. I grew up with a father who cried at Olympic commercials. And it was just okay to cry at our house. And my students know that, and they're aware of that because we have cried a lot this year. I've cried more than they have. Not because I'm upset with them, but just because I am an emotional person. So please bear with me as I try to get through this today, because I have I'm okay. A soft heart, and I have a hard time with the goodbyes. So I'm going to start out with just a really short little story. When we were hired on at this school, we kind of heard some grumblings about this group of kids, that they were tough and that they were one of the hardest group of kids to come through this school. And we were like, whatever. Mr. Wilson and I came from a pretty hard school, and we kind of just said, you know what, we don't know anything about them. We're really going to give them a chance. And so we did. All four of us, 5 of us. It depends on the day how many there are. All 5 of us were like, you know what, we're just going to give these guys a chance. And I found this quote, and it said, persons appear to us according to the light we throw upon them from our own minds. And you know what? They became who we thought they were. And it was incredible to watch. These kids work hard. They taught me. They taught me more than I could teach them. I saw so much good. And I want to share some of it with you. I saw things like students having really hard times in my classroom to the point that they couldn't function anymore. And other students, excuse me, something's in my throat, going and laying on the floor and rubbing their back. I saw kids, sorry, something really in my throat, whose baskets would fall over because we didn't have desks this year. And not only one student would run to them, many would. I saw students offering hugs when hugs were needed. I saw students asking students to join their group when they didn't have a group to join. I saw kids asking others if they needed help with their work when they knew they were struggling. I never had to ask them to help. They just did it. They worked hard. They were loving. They were cute. They were nice. They were amazing. Just yesterday, I saw a student on the playground with another student in tears because he was being so sympathetic to a student's needs. These kids are awesome. I want to thank you for teaching them, because that wasn't me. It comes from you. A lot of parents sent me some emails this year, and I wanted to share a couple of them with you because others saw it too. One of them said, Mrs. Bryton, I just wanted to thank you for letting me come into your classroom today to meet the masters in your class. I had a great time with your kids. They're all really respectful and they listen well. What impressed me, however, was how kind in capital letters they are. Everyone was complimenting each other, but what impressed me the most was their positive comments. I did not hear one person make fun of another one or anything that was derogatory. Even when someone would make a disparaging comment about another project, 2 or 3 classmates were quick to jump in and build them back up. I also had several students willing to offer to help household supplies and clean up. You have an amazing group of kids, and I just wanted you to know that. We did. We know they're awesome. Another parent wrote, it was my cousin. Sorry. To be with your class on the field trip today. I have to tell you, I was super impressed and uplifted with the actions of some of your kids. I saw several situations where girls and boys went out of their way to be kind to kids who were struggling and have a great class. They're amazing. To create this loving community in the classroom, every day in my class we share, we pass around the ball, and kids would get up and they have to say, I feel something because something. We laughed a lot together, sometimes we cried together. Here's what I learned. Students love weekends. Kids worry about their brothers. Kids worry about sick sisters. Kids worry about cousins who are sick. Kids sometimes don't love the prep times. Kids learn to value other people's opinion, which is huge in this world today. Kids worry about their families. Students love basketball games, soccer games, softball games, robotics competitions, and campouts. Kids love coming to school, so some kids don't want to be there. Kids have some really bad days. Kids tell me things that you probably don't think I should know. But most of all, the kids really love you. Thank you for giving me the chance to teach your amazing kids. They're full of love, and I really, really felt it this year. I know as a team, we really have appreciated feeling so welcomed into the Windridge community. We have felt your love, and we have loved being here every single minute. Now, 6th graders, we have learned so much this year. We've become better at math and social studies and way better at writing. But the thing I want you to remember is always be kind. Our world needs more people to love and more people to be kind. Please watch out for each other and have each other's backs. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Go out there, do great things, and love each other always. You guys have my whole heart. I love you. Thank you.
Okay, my class and my family will tell you that I'm not a crier. But yesterday I full on ugly cried in ways that I haven't in years, and I keep telling myself it's out of my system. I'm good. We'll see how I do. I recently came across some advice for teachers that said, be excited about the school year ending, but cherish every second with your students. You will never have the same class again. This year, I have been very fortunate to have had a group of students who are hardworking, responsible, respectful, funny, energetic, and kind to each other. There are definitely some things that will always be unique to this class, and some of these things include Mr. Utters and Betty, Isaac's scarf that he wore almost every day, and his perpetual stack of books. He was always reading like 7 books at one time. The Prime Song. Over 80% of our students read 40 or more books this year. Watching our classmates compete at Worlds for robotics and cheering them on from our classroom. Jayla. The jar of Skittles that vanished one day. That mystery is still unsolved, and if anyone has any information about that, I would like to know. Eating tater tots while watching Napoleon Dynamite. The best homemade caramel popcorn I've ever had the pleasure of eating. looking at my calendar and noticing students' hair and medical appointments written on it. Jim, the class ghost, he did come back today to say farewell. Weird things happen in our room and we really think he's real. 10-minute teacher lessons, BTG battles on the iPad, our white elephant and potluck parties, students randomly choosing sticks to match up potential future spouses. And I want to know, if any of you do get married to each other, I need to know. The word of the year, students say with me, theoretically. Every time I hear that word for the rest of my life, I will smile and think of you guys. And our class pet, the Flash, which is a fish. So students, for my final advice and words of wisdom to you, I want to draw a couple of analogies to the traumatic experience that our fish, the Flash, experienced earlier this year. For those of you that weren't there, here's a little background information. Several months ago, a couple of students were cleaning the Flash's fish bowl. As the Flash was being moved back into his bowl, a mishap occurred, and the Flash ended up on the floor. Almost immediately, our entire class broke into high-pitched screams that would make any 5-year-old girl proud. It was hilarious. It seemed as if everyone was frozen in fear and had no idea what to do. After what seemed like an eternity, Jenna popped out of her seat, said something like, "Oh brother," walked over to the Flash, scooped him up, and put him back in his bowl. The Flash was stunned for about an hour and didn't move at all, but he survived the ordeal and is now preparing to spend summer vacation in my daughter's bedroom, where his name will likely be changed to Beyonce. Students, as you remember this, because I know you will, I want you to think about two things. First, there will be times in your life when you're going to feel overwhelmed and stressed out. You might feel like our fish who was helpless on the floor and was unable to help himself and had no idea what to do. Moments like these are normal. Every single one of us experiences this from time to time. When you have these moments and you don't know what to do, ask for help. Reach out to your parents, your friends, your current or former teachers, or anyone else that you trust. Each one of you is so loved, and there will always be others who are willing to help you. Second, as you begin your journey into junior high and continue on to high school, you will undoubtedly see others who will have moments that they need to be rescued. It might be your friends, or it might be individuals that you don't know. I hope that when you see others struggling, you will be fearless and jump in to help them without even thinking. Continue to be kind to each other, continue to support each other, and continue to cheer each other on. In conclusion, I want to say thank you to my wonderfully supportive colleagues, the parents of my remarkable students, and my most favorite students that I've ever taught. As Cambria likes to say, you are the first 6th grade class that I've ever taught, and I will always remember you. And I will. Thank you.
Alrighty, so I'm a crier. A trend, I see, so see how this goes. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a huge shout out to this awesome team that I've been a part of this year. I am a better teacher because of all these people who are here. And the world is a better place because they're in it. So I'm starting out with cry. Okay, here we go. So I have a confession. I am woefully procrastinated with this assignment. As a teacher, I do not recommend this to any of my students. When I first learned I had to speak at graduation, I was super excited. I thought about all the amazing things I could say about the kids in this class. About their energy, their brilliance, their talent, their passion, their perseverance, their wonderful sense of humor, and the incredible kindness and friendship that I've witnessed from all these amazing kids. But as the day drew near, I found myself putting off actually writing anything down, and a few times I booted up my computer, and I sat down with my box of tissues, and I tried, but all I came up with were blank pages. And as a writer, that's pretty unusual for me. But then I realized, right, I just couldn't bring myself to say goodbye. Wonderful, incredible, amazing kids that have been part of my life this year. And now I can't see what I'm supposed to say. But I knew I had to find a way, and so oddly enough, the language arts teacher decided to start with some statistics. And there are some certain statistics that I'm pretty sure of. Here they are. 216. That's how many poems we've written this year. 260. That's the number of essays we've written this year. 302 narratives and stories. 402 pages of a business plan. We've created 394 art projects. We've learned 234 stems. We've even had 2 class debates. And then there were some statistics I was a little less certain of. They might be a little less exact, but they were important nonetheless. 1,942, the number of facts Kate and Max know about Greek mythology. 581, the class dollars that Levi has earned and spent in class this year. 142, that's the number of corgis that Holly has drawn or looked up on the internet. 84, the number of times Jack shouted dilly dilly after watching the Super Bowl. 63, stories, poems, papers, articles, and journal entries Tyler wrote about the Minnesota Vikings. 57 was the number of times Ashton volunteered to be my human calculator. 31 is the number of people Olivia has drawn as personified food in the last week. And 102, I estimate, and that's a rough estimation, the grams of sugar that Jenna consumed at the Lady Lucy party. Sorry, Mrs. Wood. Okay. And then there are things that cannot be quantified. The amazing talent these kids have, everything from football, volleyball, and soccer to writing, art, and music. The incredible leadership that they've shown, whether through student council or the Hope Squad, Math and Science Olympiad, World Robotics Competition, Constitution Bowl, Science Fair, spelling, geography weeks, or being amazing members of our class and examples to others. The incredible kindness and friendship these kids have shown toward each other. They've made the lives we've touched better, and they've touched lives throughout the whole school. Their passion for learning, the fortitude to stick with things, even though they may be tough, and persevering through challenges. It's these unquantifiables that made it easy for me to write this speech, thinking about all the wonderful qualities, talents, passions, accomplishments, and most of all, their strength of character. I know that these kids will go out into the world and make their mark and take the world by storm and accomplish amazing things. So to my class, I want you to know that you have everything you need inside of you right now to make your dreams happen. And I feel so honored that when you do, when you're a spouse or a parent or a dermatologist or an engineer or a scientist or a photographer, I will get to say that I knew you would. And I always knew you would do it. We ended our year this year studying poetry, and I'll leave you with the words of my favorite poem by William Ernest Henley. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So gather your coordinates, take them home, and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Mrs. Payne will love you forever.
Mrs. Payne and I have always struggled with the height things should be in. So my confession is that I probably will not cry, but it doesn't mean that I love you any less. One statistic that Mrs. Payne didn't share is that between the two of us, we went to 7 IEP meetings and 3 504 meetings to discuss some of the individual needs of the students in our class. And in light of that, one of the discussions of topic that we had this year was challenges. And as a group, to help foster some of these whole class discussions, we shared and discussed the story of Augie in Wonder. And we talked about how sometimes challenges are on the outside, and everybody can see them, and they know that you have them, and they know that you're going through them. But more oftentimes than not, the challenge is on the inside. There are other people in that story and in that movie that have challenges that can't be seen. They're on the inside. And we also talked about, I should have written it, language arts and reading and writing. And as part of his class, he assigned his students to write a poem. And he told them that, and his name is Mr. Crouch. Mr. Crouch told them that he would memorize poems so that if he got older and he was blind, he could recite those poems so that they would be with him forever. So James Earl Jones set to work and he wrote a fabulous poem because he didn't mind writing because it meant he didn't have to speak to share his feelings. And his poem was so good that Mr. Crouch shared his poem in front of the class. But then Mr. Crouch challenged him, and he said, I don't believe that you wrote that poem. If you wrote that poem, I want you to stand up in front of the class and recite it for me. Well, that was the first time in his life that James Earl Jones stood in front of a group of people and spoke without stuttering. Now, Mr. Crouch did, in fact, know that James had written that poem, but he wanted him to face his challenges. And now, and after that, he went on and James Earl Jones forced himself to be in debates and to continue to work on that challenge. And today we know him most for his voice and for the voice that brings us inspiration in those movies. And so what I've enjoyed the most about being your teacher this year is seeing you go through your challenges and the growth that you've made in spite of your challenges, but specifically because of your challenges. And I truly enjoy growing with you and the inspiration that you've given me to face my challenges. So the invitation I have for you as you leave here today is that you will continue to strive and that you continue to strain, and you will show the world that you don't give up. My grandfather, who just turned 90, whenever I tell him goodbye, he always says, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So to my wonderful class, see you later.
Okay, so you might think that the reason they left me till last is because I have the best hair. The real reason is because there's this awesome weight that comes with being the last speaker, and I'm the only one that carries that much weight. So everybody else had a couple of pages. So buckle up, here we go. I'm just kidding. That big. Getting ready to move schools last year was a difficult decision for us to make. And Mrs. Bryton already talked about that a little bit. I have to start out by just telling you how welcome we felt right from the very beginning. We were so excited to have the opportunity to work with more than just one another. We've been a team this is our 6th year, and we think way too much alike. It's really actually a little scary. She stole a lot of the things I was already going to say, so that got half of my talk gone. But we've learned so much from the other teachers on our team, and they've been fantastic. So the only thing that I know how to do really, really well is tell stories. And my class asked me to share a story. that some of the student council have heard, but they have not heard my twist on this story. So there's a man whose friend had moved to Maine, and he eventually got an opportunity to go and visit his friend in Maine. And when you go to Maine, you have to have seafood because it's fresh and it's just awesome. And so the very first thing he did is he said, hey, we need to go catch some crabs and have some fresh crabs for dinner. And so his friend grabbed him, took him out to the shore. Sure enough, there were crabs scurrying along on the beach. They took a 5-gallon bucket, and he said, all you gotta do is grab them, chuck it in the bucket. Catch a few of them, we'll take them home, we'll roast them up, we'll be good to go. So the man jumped out there, grabbed a crab, struggled with his leg, dumped it in the bucket, turned around to grab another one. By the time he caught a second one and made it back to the bucket, the first crab had got its legs over the edge and crawled out. And so he turned to his friend and he said, I need a lid. I need some way that I can trap these crabs in this bucket. And his friend said, well, all you really need to do is catch 2 crabs and put them both in. And so he went out and caught one, grabbed another one, and he brought them over to the bucket. He dumped it in the bucket, and then he sat to watch to see what would happen. And as one of the crabs would get its leg up on the edge, and I know I have these weird movements, but I'm okay. This crab would get its leg up on the edge of the bucket. Just as it would get ready to pull itself up and be able to get to freedom, the other crab would grab it and pull it back into the bucket. And it happened over and over and over, and it didn't matter which crab was just about to get to freedom, the other crab would grab it and pull it back in. And he said, he watched. Now this man was a psychiatrist, and he thought to himself, I wonder if there's a connection with how we are as humans. Mrs. Bryton and the other teachers have already touched on this. This is not something that we saw. We're all humans, and every once in a while we have a tendency to not be nice. Once in a while. But this group of kids is phenomenal in their ability to look and see other people. This gentleman thought to himself, as human beings, when we see somebody else succeed, when we see somebody else do something extraordinary, as people, we have a tendency to want to cut them back down and bring them back to our level. Marianne Williamson wrote a poem at the beginning of her poem, said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And what she was trying to help us understand is that instead of cutting other people down, we should be inspired by them. We should use, if that moron can do it, then I can do it too. And then we cut both at the same time, right? Because we bring them down and then we conquer them. That's not the way to do that, okay? This story, though, I wonder if the reason that the crabs weren't willing to let each other out of the bucket is because they didn't think that person was going to turn around and help them back to get out themselves. And that's the challenge I think we face as human beings. When you succeed, you have an awesome responsibility. Because you already figured out some failures that don't work. And your job then is to turn around and help other people not make the same mistakes you made. Now, Mrs. Payne stole my favorite saying ever, which is the poem by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me. I made my class memorize this, and I cry every single time. Stupid poem. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole. I think whatever God's made me from my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but no horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Now what's crazy about that poem is that if you're a captain of a ship, you are in control of everything that happens on that ship. But the very best captains in the world, when they pull into harbors that they're unsure of, or they're sailing waters that they're not clear on, they bring a pilot on board to guide them. You are the captain. You make the choices in your life that will get you whatever level of success you wish to attain. But it will be easier for you if you continue to look for people that build you up. And if you are the kind of person that builds others up, you will be surrounded by them for the rest of your life. I cannot tell you how much I have loved this group of 6th graders. I look forward every single day to coming and helping you look at challenges. I cannot tell you how often I've seen you just break down, and I see it happen. I see that question on the math board, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this bald man doing to me? The essay, that merchant plan, right? And time after time after time, you guys bend down, put your shoulder to the wheel, put your nose to the grindstone, whatever it is, and you went after it. Henry Ward Beecher said, greatness lies not in being strong, but in the right use of strength. Please be strong for those who need it, when they need it. Next year is 7th grade, new experience, because you won't be with each other all the time. Now, for some of you, that's a good thing. For some of you, it's not so good. But you are going to be surrounded by people that are going to need you at different times. Be that person. Isn't it strange that princes and kings and clowns that caper in sawdust rings and common folk like you and me are builders of eternity? We've each been given a shapeless mass, a bag of tools, and a book of rules, and each must make, ere life is flown, a stumbling block or a stepping stone. Make everything that you do be a stepping stone for others. Go out and get your dreams. Thank you.
We're going to now give away some graduation certificates, and there are report cards in my, so please make sure you look. All right, and I'm kind of doing something fun this year. We're reading a little thing about where we think they're going to be in 20 years from now. Actually, they wrote it. I didn't write this. All right, Noah Arnell. In 20 years, I will have gone on an LDS mission. I will have a family of 3 to 5 kids. And there will be 2 boys and 3 girls. My job will be something with Tesla, and I will go to BYU. Noah Arnell. And let's save our applause till the end, just because it'll be quicker. All right, Gabe Bateman. In 8 years, he plans to go to BYU, hopefully and receive a bachelor's degree in engineering. After college, he plans to live in Louisville, Kentucky, and live his dreams out there. Gabe Bateman. Aubrey Bingham. In 20 years from now, she's going to get a degree in teaching, and she wants to become a teacher because of Mrs. Burton. Oh, I love you. She has helped me grow, not just in math reading, but to be a better person. I want to help and teach kids just as she did to me. Nathan. 20 years from now, I will graduate from college and have fun with Mrs. Bryton. Oh, I love you, Nathan. Nathan Clark. Next, we have Lily Crosby. In 20 years, I will be a graduate from a school with a bachelor's degree in nursing and a minor in arts and photography. I will have a husband with a lab or a golden doodle, and I will plan to have 1 to 2 kids in the future. Lily Crosby. Valentina. She didn't write a card, so I'm going to make this up because she talked to me a little. In 20 years, Valentina wants to do something with arts and live in LA, and maybe she'll go back and visit Columbia sometime. I want you to Valentina's done amazing this year. She just learned English and she's come a long way. Valentina. Connor Gibbs, in 20 years, I will be a businessman, and I will be an artist, and I will sell my art, and I will get a dog. Logan Gibbs, in 20 years, I will have a bachelor's degree and be married and work in the NFL, or my backup job is to be a risk manager. Way to have a backup job. Ava Golightly, in 20 years, I plan on being married with 2 children at the most. I live in a house with a puppy or a kitty, and with my husband and children. I have not thought about my job or career situation yet, so that's the next thing I have to think about. But I will go through some sort of college and get a bachelor's degree for a good job. Tyler Johnson. In 20 years, I will be the greatest engineer, and I will graduate and get married with 2 kids. I may own my own football team. I will have a night fury spirit animal, and I will live here. Noah Jolly Squish. In 20 years, I will have graduated from BYU and have a career in soccer or basketball, and I will have a hot wife. Sydney Morelli. In 20 years, I will have a bachelor's degree in exercise science at Tennessee University, or will have gone to law school. I will be married with 2 children and a dog. We will live in Tennessee, but move back to Utah. My family and I will travel the world. Willow Ann McKay. In 20 years, I will have graduated from BYU or the University of Kansas and be halfway through my basketball career and be married to also a hot wife. Haley Monson. In 20 years, I will have graduated from USU. I will have a degree in writing and be an author. I will live in an apartment in Kaysville, Utah, and live with my 2 kids' husband, a Shorty puppy named Charles Wallace. Haley Monson. Nathaniel Morgan. In 20 years, I will have graduated from college and be halfway through my soccer career. I will also be married to a hot wife and live in LA. I think they were sitting by each other. Yeah, a smart hot wife. Yeah, where's the smarts? You just don't want a hot wife. They might not be smart. Okay. Snoop Johnny John. In 20 years, I will be graduated from Weber State. I will be married with 2 kids. I will be on the Salt Lake Bees, and I will be put on the LA Angels. Oh, Los Angeles Bees. Okay. Leah Nielsen. Okay. In 20 years, I hope to be graduated from Weber State in astronomy or get an English degree. I want to have a family of my own. I want to be a professor at a college and just go wherever life takes me. Bryton Odette. I will live with my brother and have a good job and most likely help my brother on YouTube. Bryton Odette. Morgan Otero. In 20 years from now, I'll be a marine archaeologist. I will graduate from an amazing college and get a master's or doctorate degree. I will dive into the oceans that have never been explored before. You can keep going on. I will explore lost treasures inside shipwrecks that have rested for hundreds or even thousands of years. In the crisp, deep blue, she's a beautiful writer, by the way. I'll hopefully find things that will help and maybe change the way we see history. I would like to get married to a man and have 2 or 3 children. I would like to adopt at least 1 child and have some of my own. We'll live in a nice house with a backyard or a front yard off the coast of Oregon. I'd like to travel to different countries, and I plan to work hard to achieve this. P.S. I'll have a friendly dog. Austin Easton Reed. After I graduate from Cal University, I'll live in San Francisco and also have a house in LA because I'll play for the LA Clippers, then get traded to the Jazz. I will also have 3 kids and a cool wife. All right. Edith Slade. 20 years from now, I will have got my master's degree and I'll have gone on an LDS mission to summer in China. I'll have a good job supporting my wife and 3 kids. I'll also be one of those easygoing uncles. Sabrina Smalley. In 20 years from now, I have graduated from Davis High School, Weber, and BYU with a degree in being something awesome. I will be married and live somewhere in Utah with 4 kids. I also want to be a nursery leader at church. Swape. In 20 years, I will have gone on a mission. I will have gone to BYU, and I will be a vet and a chick magnet. Campbell Tate. It doesn't say that. That's just what I call him. Campbell Tate. In 20 years, I will have graduated from a random college somewhere in the U.S. I will be married to a guy, and I will have 2 to 5 kids after our kids grow up. I will have a bakery from my house that people can order from online. Kaylee, in 20 years, I will have played soccer and earned a bachelor's degree in something at BYU. After that, I want a hot husband, and we will have 5 children, 2 boys and 3 girls. At BYU, I will be the head coach for the women's soccer team, and we're working my way up to being the U.S. women's national team head coach. I also have a teacup French bulldog. All right, Christian Weber. In 20 years, I have graduated from the University of Utah, be married, have 2 kids, and become a soccer player. That is my wonderful, amazing class. Give them a hand.
Broadway show and have a master's degree in marine biology. I will also have 4 kids. Tyson, in 20 years, Tyson Brown, in 20 years I will be a doctor. Ben Kremet, in 20 years I will be a graduate from the University of Utah and have a degree in chemical engineering. Jackson Gibbs, 20 years from now, I will animate. Gosh, it was so good. You will animate, that was hard. It was good. Emily Hamlin, 20 years from now, I will have a college degree. A pet corgi, be married, have 2 kids, and travel around the world with my family. Anna Harkness, 20 years from now, I will have a college degree and a job with lots of money and live in an amazing house. Porter Harris, 20 years from now, I will be a comedy writer and will be living in California with 4 kids. Ty Harris, in 20 years, I will be a zoologist that has discovered a new species on a remote island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, theoretically. Jenna Harrop, 20 years from now, I will have a career in neurosurgery and I will be a mom and live in California. Zach Hutchison, 20 years from now, I will not be 31 years old. Oh, I will be 31 years old. I will not get hit by a train and I will get a job. Cambria Jones. 20 years from now, I will have a job, just a job because I don't know what I want to be. I want to have 2 kids and have passed college with a master's degree. I would love to be married to a nice, caring, and truthful spouse. Olivia Lover. 20 years from now, I will be playing on the women's national soccer team while also being a mom of 4 kids. Aubrey Lindbergh, 20 years from now, I will cure cancer and develop more advanced cures and surgeries for other diseases and problems and have a PhD. Isaac Lindbergh, in 20 years from now, I will be 32, graduated from the Utah State in engineering and have my master's degree, play basketball in high school and maybe college. I might be an engineer or a coach for the Jazz. Jay Mendez. 20 years from now, I will graduate and work for NV Scooters. Kate Miller. 20 years from now, I will be richer than all my brothers, have graduated from college, be married, and have children, and live in a beautiful house. Martin Olds. 20 years from now, I will have a job, I will have gone to college, and have a family. Lily Boren. 20 years from now, I want to become a veterinarian and have 4 kids. I will also have 1 billion dogs. She was very clear on that, 1 billion dogs. Emma Robbins. 20 years from now, I will have a master's degree and be a doctor and a mom. I will have 3 children and a beautiful house. Isaac Rose. 20 years from now, I want to be a professional bull rider and have 3 boys, no girls. Brandon South. I will progress on my YouTube channel from now until then. Callie Steele. 20 years from now, I am going to have a beautiful family, live in a nice house, and graduate from the University of Utah. Jalen number 1, Caleb Taylor. 20 years from now, I will be a successful traffic light engineer. And Jalen number 2, Jake Taylor. 20 years from now, I will be successful with a good job and education. Okay. Heidi Kane, front and center. All right. Kate Arnett. In 20 years, I will be a successful basketball player for the Spurs, awesome family, and a mansion home. Oh, okay. You got a sheet of candles. Bailey Best. In 20 years, I will be married and would have 2 or 3 kids. I will live in New York for my job, in which I will be on Broadway, starring in musicals. I would have 2 or 1 dogs, and they will both be pit bulls. I would star in musicals, then I would start to write my own musicals. Jacob Carter. I will be married, have 2 boys, 3 girls. One of the boys and one of the girls will be twins. Have 2 dogs, be a star in a musical, and then make in 20, the crew, Cunningham. In 20 years, I will be an NBA player and a father with 4 children, and here at home with a wife. There's a wife in there. By the time I am done with my NBA career, I will have 6 rings. That's intimate. I am a football player and will be married. I will have 5 kids and will live in a mansion. I will have a Lamborghini. Jack Edstrom. In 20 years, I will be a famous dentist that everybody knows. I will have 2 PT Cruisers as cars. I will have a wife. I live in Hollywood next to Brad Pitt and have 2 cats. When I am 20, in 20 years, I will be married and have 2 kids and 2 dogs and 1 pet. I will be a veterinarian. I will live upstate New York, away from the big city, and watch Billy perform on Broadway. A good mom. She'll also be a good mom.
Ryan Gonzalez. I will be playing basketball and video games, and I will be working in a restaurant. Ashton Ham. I will be a 3-time NBA MVP and a 3-time NBA champion and a 14-year NBA vet and a first ballot Hall of Famer. I will have a spouse and 4 kids. Joey Hurst. In 20 years, I will be the best NFL defensive back with 2 Super Bowl rings. I will be a father to 3 children, an NFL MVP, Defensive Player of the Year too. I will still remember the great experience in and out this school. Chloe Tula. In 20 years, I will have my own salon in my house in Saratoga Springs. I will be married with 4 children, Lorelai, Lyndon, Jaden, and Trevor. Kate Larson. Hopefully my future will be bright. In 20 years, I will have graduated from college and have played on the soccer team. Then I will be married and have 3 kids. Then after I have kids, I will go back to school and be an endocrinologist.
Kendall Lucas. When I grow up, I will be a famous photographer and live in New York City. Shay Miller. When I grow up, I will be a marine biologist. I will have 3 or 4 kids. As a marine biologist, I will study life under the sea. I will live near the ocean. I will have the most fun job. I love it because I love to swim. That is what I will be doing 20 years from now. Max Moulton. I'm going to have a job. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have a car. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to have a life. Levi. I'm the CEO of Nintendo and Lego, Levi Nilsson. I have made the idea for the Lego Switch. A Switch is entirely made of Lego. You can add a lot of Lego creations to it. I'll have 2 kids, Bryton and Kylie. I'll be 32, and my wife will be preparing for Employee Week. I still live here in Kaysville, even though our headquarters will be on Antelope Island. I made sure that nobody in our family is spoiled, even though we make $1 million per week. Logan Pennar. I want to be a pineapple pilot. No, really, I'm planning on inventing a pineapple plane. Josh Porter. I will be an inventor and live in peace on a mountain. Kayla Robinson. When I grow up, I will have a simple house, and I will be married, and I will be a professional volleyball player. Ethan Savage. I will be a mechanical engineer. Hannah Shaw. In 20 years, I will be living in Wyoming in a tiny house. I will live in Casper. I will be married and looking forward to adopting a child or 2. I will have a Japanese chin and a fish for my pets. I am the chief meteorologist for Wyoming News, and I will have gone to the University of Wyoming for my undergraduate degree and Harvard Law School to major in patent law. I plan to be a patent lawyer once my children have grown. Tyler Stengel. I will be an NFL player for the Vikings as a QB. I will make our team, I will help our team go 16-0 all season. I will be married and live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I will have 3 kids, all boys. And I will have a nice house, 5,431 square feet. Olivia Tingy. I want to be a dermatologist and figure out how to cure sicknesses. Callie Williams. I will own a Courtney farm. My spouse will be working with me at my vet's office, and I will have 2 kids and a farm, and my Courtneys will be amazing. Last but not least, Jenna Wood. In 20 years, I will be an architect or famous, and I will have kids.
Okay, in addition to their incredible cards that they've written, I randomly sorted 100 positive adjectives to describe people, and I believe in the power of the universe that it will give them the attributes that it's supposed to. So, the first up is the adaptable, intelligent Toby Butcher. It says, I will have a family and a good job. I'll have some pets and a nice house. I'll have graduated from BYU. I hope to have many kids and be a millionaire. I'll be married and have nice cars and technology. This is what I hope to be in 20 years, Toby Butcher. The intuitive, adventurous Callie. In 20 years, I plan to be famous. I'll be famous for soccer. My husband will look like Zac Efron. He looks like me, don't you? Oh, I play soccer for the U.S. women's team. I'll be getting a bachelor degree. My dream car is a white six-wagon. Is that a G-Wagon or a six-wagon? A G-Wagon. Sorry, that didn't sound right when I said six. My house will be very big and always clean. Okay, the inventive, affectionate Gabe. I see myself as a soldier, possibly an Air Force pilot or a ground troop. My dream car is a Cadillac Escalade. The ambitious, loving Ryan. In 20 years, I'll be living in Kaysville, Utah, and will have a family. The optimistic, calm Taylor Hatterley. In 20 years, I will have written a very good chapter book and be good at art. I'll have a bachelor's degree in creative writing, live in a medium to big home with twins of a boy and a girl. The girl named Amber and the boy named Carter. I will also have one small girl bunny named Buttercup. People will come from all around to buy my amazing books. The fearless, passionate Josh. In 20 years from now, I'm going to be married, have my dream job, and be a millionaire. I'm going to be graduated from college. My house is going to be pretty big, and I'll be driving a Lamborghini. I am going to have 3 kids. My house will have an indoor basketball court, an indoor swimming pool, and I'll have my bachelor's and master's degrees. The pioneering, considerate Jack Hill. My life in 20 years is going to look like I'll live in Arizona in my old house. I'll have a good job. My kids will go to a good school. I will drive a Ram truck. I would have a big tree for my kids to climb on and a pool with a hot tub. I'll graduate from high school, but I don't know which one yet. The warm-hearted, decisive Mark Hyde. If all goes to plan, then in 2038, I would live in a suitable house for a family of my own. There's not much point in living in a house too big. I'll be a good cook and have a bachelor's degree in computer programming from BYU and work for Nintendo. If I can, I'll live in Utah. I will also draw various dragons as a hobby. Fantastic. The shy but faithful Abby Johnson. In 20 years, I'll graduated from Utah State and be a humble, inspirational speaker in a small house in a small town with lots of cats. Okay, the self-confident, generous Zoe Keach. 20 years from now, I will have graduated from BYU University with a master's, associate's, bachelor's, and a PhD. I will be a doctor that makes a lot of money. I'll live in St. George, Utah. With the money I earn, I'll get a big house with a big yard for me and my husband and children to play outside and watch the beautiful sunsets. The versatile, plucky Lily Kimmel. That's good. Plucky. It says right there, plucky. Plucky. In 20 years, I'll be living in Hawaii in a huge mansion where I'll pay for my parents' round trips to visit me because they love Hawaii. I'll have 19 dogs that live in their own doggy mansions, complete with a pool, and 10 live-in maids to take care of the dogs. I will also have a pet panda and a pet walrus. I'll be a millionaire for my work as an entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar franchise restaurant.
In high school, I completed 2 years of college and got my associate's degree before I graduated. In college, I played women's soccer for BYU Hawaii. I went on an LDS missions out of the States, an unknown case. My husband will be a doctor, and although he won't be Chris Pine, he will still be pretty cool. He saved 15 people's lives in a boat crash. Lucky. We met in college. I'll have 3 kids, one named Harvey, a boy, Ari, a girl, and Casper, a boy. My house is right on the beach of Maui Island. We swim with dolphins on the coast and other sea animals. That's my life story. Okay. Skip that one. Romantic, I'll go with romantic. That'll be okay. The romantic, independent Alina. In 20 years, you know what? I've got to try to say this last name. Carved stone. Was that closer? In 20 years, my life is going to look like this. I will most likely be married and have kids. I will have a job as a nurse before I have children. My house will be decent size, not too big or small. I might live somewhere in Utah. I'll have a nice car. That's where I see myself in 20 years. The neat, conscientious Hope Larson. In 20 years, I'm going to be a famous actress. I'm going to have 1 kid named Evelyn and a dog named Trixie. I'm going to graduate from Utah State. I'll have written 1 book about my childhood. I'm going to live in a basic house that has a pool in the backyard. The intellectual, modest Reagan. In 20 years, I will be the happiest mom in the world. I'll be married and have 4 kids. I will live in Kaysville or Farmington. I'll have a nice house that has an indoor sports room. My husband will work, and I will be a stay-home mom, and I'll have fun with my kids. I will also have a pool in my backyard. Some of my kids will play soccer, and I will be their coach. The straightforward, creative Jacob Latham. In 20 years, I'll be married, have 2 kids and a dog, living in Wyoming, driving a PT Cruiser. The forceful, unassuming. That's what popped out though. J.D. McDonald. In 20 years, I want to be in the NFL. I would have a pretty big house. I would be married, I'd be driving a truck or a Jeep. I would hunt almost every day, and I would have dogs and horses, and I would have 4 kids. The diligent, diplomatic Aiden McFarland. I see myself in 20 years being a senator with my wife and my son. I'll live in Kaysville, drive a Ford GT Mustang, and have attended Utah University with a master's degree. The warm-hearted, powerful Cullen Moore. I will be a Major League Baseball player on the Cubs, and I will eat all the bubble gum in the dugout. I will be driving a Bugatti. The practical, gregarious Dane. In 20 years, I am going to be... All right, hold on. Hey, all right. Great minds go together there. We had to figure that one out. So in 20 years, I'm going to be a surgeon, and I'll find a cure for cancer and drive a PT Cruiser. The fair-minded, resourceful Brianna Oswald. 20 years from now, I'll have graduated college with a master's degree from the University of Utah, and I will be a radiologist. I'll have more money than the average person, and I will have 5 kids and a cute little Yorkie dog. The persistent, exuberant Alyssa Packer. In 20 years, I will have 6 dogs and 4 kids. I would be a vet. My house will be just like my house now. I'll have a very happy life. The charming, straightforward Cam Reeves. In 20 years, I will be an engineer and married with 2 kids and 1 dog. I will drive a Ford truck and live in Utah. Yeah. There are not enough adjectives on my page. She's late. Holy cow. Okay, the honest, polite Mia Shimmer. In 20 years, I will have graduated college and will have gotten my bachelor's and master's degree from Harvard. I will have gotten my PhD from the University of Utah and have a profession in the medical business. I'll be married and will have 3 kids, 2 dogs, a dachshund and a Horsky, okay, and a turtle. I'll be living in Utah or California, and every summer my family will take a vacation into another country until we have toured the entire world. I will also become a therapist for people that are recovering from cancer or a bad injury. I will be a professional tennis player and will have won 27 Grand Slams. I will live in a mansion, but will donate most of my wealth to charities, and will start up my own school that teaches kids how to play any sport and help them develop their talents so they can have a chance to have a sports career as well. The most important thing I want to have discovered in 20 years is the cure to cancer, so no one will have to suffer from it anymore. The sensible, friendly Will. In 20 years, I think I will be a professional pianist playing at famous concerts and becoming a billionaire with an electric car that is one of those really long white cars that those millionaires drive around in. I will be married. Okay, there's not one on here for the best hair in 6th grade, but best hair in 6th grade envied by Mr. Welch. Zach Smith. 20 years from now, I will be a professional actor and model and live in Orange County, California, and get married to my wife in the temple and make the Siberian tiger not be extinct and have a huge house that is super nice, and it's LeBron James' house times 10. And I'll have every nice car, and I'll get the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay. The easygoing, persistent Carter Dahl. In 20 years, I hope to be a dad and an engineer. I want to live by a lake and a forest. I want to drive a Jeep for off-roading. I would have a pretty big house and a pool. Okay, one huge round of applause for
That was so fun. Thank you so much for sharing those goals, you guys. Get there. Just remember, your hot wife should also be smart. I just want to take a minute to thank these teachers. I know as parents, you have just been able to see how much they love your students, and students, I know how much you've enjoyed being part of this 6th grade team with these teachers. So I just want to can you just take a minute? Can we honor these wonderful educators? While the 6th graders go ahead and head back to their classrooms. Oh, okay, sorry. They're going to stay here. We just got to have parents check them out. Okay, so before you take them though, you need to check them out from their teacher. Will you do that for me? Is that okay for that? Okay, otherwise I get in big trouble. So, all right, enjoy your fabulous last day of school, kids.